Being a servant, for me personally, it starts with a personality, and that's God's personality. Characteristics like selflessness and putting others' best interests before convenience or comfort or care.
Andy and I met at church. He was seemed like a really fun-loving guy. He was always sitting on the front row, and if you know Andy, that's consistent with. He's very intense personality, and that was I think one of the first memories I have of him.
We have 6 living children. My oldest is 13. His name's Andrew. And then we have Sarah and Elizabeth and Lucy and Sophie and Cy. And the youngest is 2. So we got boys on the bookends and then 4 girls in the middle.
Andy and I do have 6 children, and they're some of the greatest joys of our life, and it can be a challenge. But Andy and I have always been a real team. And he may be absent a lot of the days. You know, at work it's pretty intense, and he goes in early and may come home late. And our phone calls they're pretty steady. They may be 30 seconds or less, and I could tell in his voice, you know, just that it's a hi and I love you, and then we're on to the next thing. But we're pretty connected.
I think I probably always wanted to be a physician. I didn't know exactly what kind, and I think I'd have to say surgery was definitely the coolest thing I could think of, just the interaction with science and art and caring for people. And
he's a great leader, I think, and he leads by serving at home. There have been many times, I can tell you, when he'll come in after a hard day of work, and if I'm finishing up with some schoolwork with a child and it's time for supper to be on the table, you'll see him wash up his hands and jump right in and get going on supper. He will come in and get the kids rallied around, and there have been times where he can see that I'm very tired and will just tell me, you need to go rest, and I got it.
First, by his experience, it's really easy to tell that he's a servant because he helps so many people, and he doesn't take all the credit. And usually every night, he talks about how to really be a servant for the Lord, and
yeah, it's like he's not spent the entire day trying to get a promotion or do something or whatever in jobs. He's just working on serving people instead of serving himself.
For me, it's getting up in the morning, asking God to give me the kindness and the patience to do what I need to do. And then when I get in the car and I'm coming home from the hospital, asking Him for exactly the same thing again. So that when I hit the door, you know, I'm not worn out and tired and spent. To be at the bedside with a patient and to serve them by taking care of them and letting them know that you're with them 100%. I can come home from a long day of doing that, and I'm weary. I'm weary in the work, but I'm not weary of the work.
Dr. Pierce shows a caring and compassionate attitude in everything that he does. In every moment that he appears on the unit, he's open. He immediately displays a friendly attitude to all of those around him, to the staff, to the patients, to the families. You'll find him sometimes just in the patient's room holding their hand or comforting a family member, or even out comforting the staff and seeing what the needs are for the nurses on the units.
I think Dr. Pierce, you know, he's definitely lead by example. By just, when you see what he does, then you find yourself in that same category to where you're actually asking people in other disciplines, you know, or assisting them in their roles and their functions as they try to provide, you know, the care that they're, you know, inundated with for that day.
I remember when Dr. Pierce first came, I've heard his name, but we'd never seen him on the unit, and he came to see a patient that really needed some IV access, and they weren't able to get a PICC line. You know, it was a really busy day, so he said, just get it for me and I'm gonna put it in. And everybody said, oh, who's this doctor, you know? He's gonna get it in. And he had the line in, you know, in less than 10 minutes. And everybody was just really impressed that he had a busy day, but he took the time because this patient needed a line, and we really appreciated it.
When I think about chances I've had to make a difference in someone's life, I guess the biggest thing I'm struck with is that's a little backwards. And that is that more often than not, what happens is just in the practice of trying to care for people and be at the bedside and and do a good job, they end up impacting me. And you know, what I've seen in the last couple of years and continue to learn is if a patient knows that you have their best interest at mind and at heart, and that you're going to be honest with them and you're going to do everything you can to look out for their best interest, and you're going to include them in the process, and you're going to let them see your emotion when it's appropriate, I think they'll trust you with their care over and over again.